Round and around that ring I roll. I don't need a window seat anymore. I know every click before the streetcar reaches it. I feel every crack rumbling in my bones. I'd best to leave in December, leave my breath mingling with the snow. If May rolls around and the halunda blooms, I may never find my way back home.
It's the spring migration of 2009, and we've both been out in the field for the last week or so watching hundreds of antelope come into Teton National Park. And now we're just back at the Murie Center kind of checking in to tell a little bit about some of the work we've been doing, the things we've seen out in the field over the last 5 to 7 days while the migration has been in full swing.
Well, I've been spending the past couple months focusing on river crossings. When they crossed the Grovon, it was 75 of them. They just came up to the bank, and they were just standing there all wadded up. And then one buck just jumped in and started swimming.
I spent the last week backpacking through the mountainous part of the migration corridor. And I ascended up into the Grovon Mountains from the Green River. And what I found up there, I was a little surprised by, is there's a pretty heavy snowpack up once you got to maybe almost 9,000 feet. And in the evenings, I would see groups of antelope come marching up through the snow as high as they could get, but they were just struggling and wallowing in this deep snow that was really soft from the sun shining on it all day. And then right at sundown, they'd all turn and run back down as far as they could until they got to dry land again.
The spring feels like migration more than the fall. I mean, these pronghorn, they do not have to come to the park to survive. They can stay down in the southern part of their range, but every single one of them, they just want to come here. Like,
there's an antelope trail going out into this big snowfield on the other side of that notch of trees. And then out in that snowfield, I didn't see any antelope because they had all retreated, but there's 3 wolves out there. And I watched the wolves cross the snowfield and head up towards Bacon Ridge, which is right on the west side of that open park. And then I looked a little closer, and there's an antelope carcass right out there in the middle of the trail. So I think what happened is the antelope crossed the pass in the evening and tried to spend the night out in that open park, but they were bogged down in that deep snow. The wolves came down in the early morning and killed a couple of them, and the rest of them just retreated back. So I was kind of depressed when I got to Fish Creek because I couldn't cross the river, the water was too high, the weather was turning bad, it started to rain a little bit. I was just sitting in my tent listening to the rain and not really knowing how I was going to get out of there because I couldn't cross the river. And then the rain broke and the sun came in at an angle underneath the clouds, and I walked up on this little hill above my tent and I looked out across like this kind of wrinkled, rolling like ridgeline with all these folds in it, and coming over the far edge, maybe a half mile away from me, I saw 15 or 20 antelope. So I just started watching it, and pretty soon there's like 80 antelope, 100, 120, and then they're just flowing all the way across this whole ridgeline right towards the hilltop where I'm sitting. And all the sun is coming in under the clouds, hitting the antelope right on their faces. I get to the other edge of this hill by Fish Creek and start dropping down the far side of it so they can cross the river. all the year and a half, 2 years of research and effort that we've put into this project trying to figure out how this migration works paid off in that moment, because I actually got to see the center of the migration in full force.
That same day that Emilene was watching the wolves, I was setting up my camera traps about 25 or 30 miles straight west. Alright, well, I just got done mining this trail with 2 different cameras. I have them both mounted on the tree, and both the cameras are hooked up to this Trailmaster that's running right there to right here. And when that beam gets broken, each one of these cameras will be taking pictures, 3 pictures a second for 6 seconds. Then if it gets broken again, it'll do the same thing. One of them is pointing towards the pronghorn faces, and I have a flash on it. Because as the sun moves over here later in the day, when the pronghorn are typically moving, there'll be a shadow on this tree, so I'll need a flash to light up underneath their throat. This second camera has a little more zoom. It's got the trail from about right here all the way up, and it's got the Tetons in the background. They got full batteries. We're at the tail end of the migration right now, so I'm going to leave these guys for probably 5 to 8 days. Hopefully when I come back up here, I have some photos.
It's a cold day, this is the last day, but I'll stretch it as long as I can, till the stools are on the tables with their legs in the air, and nothing's running but the taxi stands. Oh, one last pint at Marley's quickly turns to one for the road. A 3 a.m. sing-song begs me to stay, but in an hour I really have to go. Whoa, in an hour I really have to go.
And in the morning we're gonna hike up and see if we can put up some more cameras and see if we can watch them come through, these late ones. But the migration is just about over, and it's been pretty cool. Like, this has been a totally eye-opening experience. We both watched the fall and walked the whole corridor in the fall, but this spring migration is like a whole different world. And yeah, I don't know, we've kind of made some new discoveries and seen some incredible things. So